Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we're Masat Yevamot stop Samach Gimel. We are going to begin on Samach Gimel Amud Aleph, the third line from the top. Simin Isha B'Karka Ezer Zo Shte Brachos Tagari Pachte. Rabbi Lezer. Kol Adam Sheinu Isha Enu Adam. A person who does not have a wife, he's not considered to be an Adam. Shnemar Zachan Akeva Baram. That only after Hashem created both Adam and Chava, v'yukras Shemam Adam. Then he was called an Adam. V'yom Rabbi Lezer, Kol Adam she'enu karka enu Adam. If a man doesn't have land, he doesn't have some element of ownership over something, he also is less than a man. Shenamar kashemayim shemayim Hashem ha'aretz nosen livnei Adam. V'yom Rabbi Lezer, ma'nechsev. What does the following pasuk mean? Esel ezer kenegdo, that I will create this helpmate that is opposite you. So Zacha, if you're Zaycha and have a good marriage, Uzarto, then she'll help you. Lo Zacha, Kenegdo. If not, then she'll be opposing you. V'yikadiyam Rabbi Lezer Rami, he has the contradiction in Psukim Ksiv. On one hand, the pasuk says Ksiv ki nagdoi, which has to do with getting lashes, malchus. The Karinan, but when it's actually read, it's ki negdoi, again being helpful. So zacha ki negdoi, lo zacha benagtoi. Again, if the fact that if a person is not zayich, it's like harsh lashes. Ashkarav Yosi Eliyahu, so he found Eliyahu Amalei Ksiv Esel Ezer. It says, I will create the helpmate. B'mei ishu zarto adam. In which way does she help a man? So Amalei, so Eliyahu said, Adam may be chitin. A man brings wheat. Chitin kaises, and he chews up the wheat. Pishtan levesh. He has flax, and he wears flax. When nimsas me'ira einav umamidasal raglov. So we don't find it lightens his eyes in mamidin al raglov. Says Rashi, chitim kaises. Are you actually able to chew the wheat? In other words, what she does is you give her the raw materials and she's able to process them and be able to make them into food. Yom Rabbi Lezer, Ma'nechsiv, Zois Apam, Etzem, Miatzamai, Basim, Ibsari, Malamid, we're out from here. Sheba Adam al Kol Behema B'chaya, literally that he had tashmish with every behema and chaya, which is not to be taken literally, of course. Once he was boil chava, in other words, he was able to gaze upon all the animals. This is how the Pashup shot, and he realized that obviously he was incapable of having children or having a relationship with any animals until he noticed a woman. He recognized, of course, their similarities. What does this following pasuk mean? It says, that Hashem will bless all the families of the earth. Hashem said to Abraham, two shoots, tovos yeshli lahavrich b'cha. There's going to be two shoots that will be grafted to you. Rus hamoaviyah v'naama ha'amoinis. Kol mishpachos adama fil mishpachos hadaros ba'adama. Even the people, the families that live on the earth, ein misbarchos el b'shel Yisrael. They're only going to be blessed when it comes to Klal Yisrael. Then the pasuk says, Kol goy haaretz, all the nations of the land, afil svinos habayis migalia laspamia. Even when it comes to the ships that are going from one place to Spain, enu misbarchos el b'shel Yisrael. Even if it's not on the land, anywhere they are, will be blessed through the Klal Yisrael. Yom Rabbi Lazar, Atidim in the future, Kol Bali Umnais Shamdu Al Karka. They're eventually going to end up working the land, and Rashi says, Yanichu Umnusam. They're going to leave their work, Klasaik B'charsh V'katzir, to be engaged in plowing and harvesting, which in itself is understood, as we'll see in a second, a livelihood which could potentially lead to poverty. Shnemar v'yardu me'aniyoseihem, that they went down from their boats. Notice they basically, Rashi says, Lashon Yeridas Anius, they became impoverished. Taisei Mashot, those who grabbed onto oars, Malachim Kol Chayvli Hayam. Al Haaretz Yamoidu, again, when they went basically to the land. There's no job which is even any more lowly than working the earth, being a farmer, which means farming is a way to lead to poverty. At least is how the Gemara understands it, as we saw in Rashi. So poverty. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'yardu, that they went down. Rabbi Eliezer saw this earth. The shadi be karava lepusya, that it was literally thrown a width of rows of cabbage. Says Rashi, lefusil reichav haruga, a row on the width. Amalei ni tishde leurchech, if you're going to throw it, be in the length. Says Rashi, Klamar fil tachsor v'tachrashena lo yoyel klum lefi iska. It's not going to help. Kafuche be'iska taminach. A business is better for you. Rashi says, harviach yaiser. A person can make greater profit in that way than in farming. Rav alabeni shvili. So Rav went to look upon these, between these stalks. Chazinhu deka naifen. He saw that they were shaking. It says Rashi, haruach min Hashem zubazu. The wind was blowing it from directions. Amalhu in neafis is nufe kafuche beiska taminoch. He said again, like looking upon it, he said that business transaction again is a better deal than being involved in you, as we see that your stocks are shaking and anything can happen. You can lose a lot of money in farming. Omer Rabba, mea zuzi beiska kol yoyima bisr v'chamra, which is 100 zuz in business, and every day he would have meat and wine. Mea zuzi ba'ara, 100 zuz working on the land, milcha v'chafura. You're going to end up having salt, and Rashi says shachas, which is like the minor growth of a field. The first third is called shachas. V'lod ella meganyule ara. Not only that, literally you're going to be like lying on the ground. Rashi says mashkeves oso al aretz lishmar kohalayla. Doesn't mean you're going to like be homeless, but you're going to have to also work at night to guard the field. So it's not only doesn't not pay well, but the hours are extremely long. Umaramile tigri, and you're going to be fighting over with merchants. Rashi says, Bishvila miskaitet im b'nei adam. Amra papa, zara v'loi tizbein. Here's more business advice. Plant your own grains that you have from your own house, v'lo tizbein, and don't buy it. And then to let it come from yourself. Aval gav dechi hadadi, even though they look the same, hani bevarchan. If it's yours, it's blessed. Usually, again, when it's something that is yours, you take better care of it, and you're going to end up seeing greater blessing. Zabein, sell your vessels. V'lotizel, and don't become poor. Hani mili bistarke. This is referring to selling, for example, vessels in your house. Of a glimolo, says Rashi, not like a cloak. Shayil his kabed bilvi shashta lo yimchor, a garment in which you use, which gives you honor, don't sell. Lo misramile. Then the Gemara says, toim v'loy tishbeitz. Better to close up a hole and not to plaster it and make it widened. And even if you're going to do that, then chapots votivni, you can at least widen it, but don't rebuild the entire wall. In other words, you should keep your construction to a minimum. Shekol oisek bebinyan mismaskein. Anyone who's involved in building construction becomes poor. As we often know, they have a budget, and then before you know it, they always go above budget. Kfoitz zav and ara. You should always jump to buy land. So if you have an opportunity to buy land, you should do it. You don't have to put too much thought into it. However, matun netziv itata. A person should be deliberate before they get married. They should wait. It says Rashi. Matun netziv itata. Why? Hamtein ad shetivdag maseha. You should look at her actions. Shilate ra v'kantranis. You don't want to marry a woman who is not good, a woman who is constantly fighting with you. And then the Gemara gives more interesting marital advice. It says, Maton natziv isasa, neches darga natziv isasa. When we go down the ladder to marry a woman, women generally will marry up. Men are being advised, better you should marry down. Sak darga b'chad shushbina. However, you should go up a rung when it comes to your friends. Says Rashi, don't take a woman who is higher than you, because maybe she will not accept you. So, in other words, she'll look down upon you, because if you do not have high status, then she's going to think lowly of you. So it's better that you should actually marry down, so that this way she'll look up to you and you'll have a better marriage. However, when it comes to friends, you should find someone who is better than you, greater than you, and you can learn from them. Rabbi Lazar bar Avina, in pranis bolu olam elo b'shvil Yisrael. Not only blessing comes to the world because of Yisrael, but so do pranios, misfortune and hardship. Shneimar hichranti goyim neshamu, that will cut down the nations. Pinoisam hecharavti, that their corners will be destroyed. Chutzaitzam, their inhabitants. Ksiv omarti ach tiri oisi tikchi musar. Fine. Rav havi miftim Rabbi Chia. Rav left from Rabbi Chia. Armulei rachmana litzlach mamidi dekashim emoisa. May Hashem save you from something which is even worse than death. Is there something worse than death? A person who is in a terrible relationship in a certain level, that's even worse than death. Rav havi kamet stari lebesu. Rav's wife used to cause him pain. Ki amrle avidili to loivche, when he would say, "Could you please give me some lentils?" Avdele chimtzi, she would give him legumes. Chimtzi, when he would ask for legumes, avdele tiloivche, she used to make the lentils. So whatever he asked, she did the opposite. Ki gadol chia b'rei apichla, and when he grew up, got a little bit older, he switched the order. Or malay ilolach imach. So Chia, who was a son, he would always say the opposite. She'd say, "Oh, you see, your mom's getting better. She's finally listening." Armulei anahu deka fichnala. I'm the one that switched it around. So Armulei hainu dekamri inch is what people say. The nafik minach taima malpoch. What comes from you, atul tavid hachi. Do not do this. Shnemer limdul shenim diver sheker ha'eva. That you shouldn't learn to speak falsehoods. So therefore he says, it's better that you shouldn't do what you did. Says Rashi, so again, the father wanted the adashim, the lentils, and he said, "Oh yeah, Dad wants legumes," so she made the lentils. Taima malfach, says Rashi, Pamim shahabein machim es aviv. Sometimes the child can be smarter than the father. Ani hayali lasos kain. Avalata, you davar shekerhu. It's considered to be a lie. Uksiv limdu Hashem davar sheker. You shouldn't do this. Rav Chia. So this was Chia. Now Rav Chia havi kamet sarle debesu, just like his father. So he also had problems in his house. When he ever finds something, silently but sudra, he would wrap it up in a kerchief. In other words, he would make like a present, and give it to her. So Amalei Rav. So Rav said, I have a hakam at sarle mumar. She causes so many problems. Why are you giving her things? Amalei Dayenu Shemigadlois Banenu. It's enough that she raises my children, Umatzilos Osanu, and saves us min hachet. Which is an amazing idea, is that instead of focusing on what your spouse doesn't do for you, focus on the things that she does for you and be appreciative of that. What is min hachet? Here are veras. We are on Samach Gimel Mebez. So Makli Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yitzchak, Berei, he read the pasuk, Moitzani mar memaves as isha. Armule kagon mai, kagon man. For example, who would fall into this category of someone who's more bitter? Kagon imcha, your mother. This is what Rabbi Yehuda said to Rabbi Yitzchak. I bahamasni Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yitzchak, Berei, and other might say kares ruach elam ishto rishayna. He said that a person will not find kares ruach, companionship, and kares ruach, except with your first wife. Shnemer yihi mekoricha borach v'samach me'eshes nurecha. Your malay kagain man kagain imcha, like your mother. So how could he say that his wife is not good? We see that she causes kares ruach, gives him a sense of companionship and goodness. So Maran says mitkif tekifa. She's a strong woman. Vavuri me'avra b'mila. However, the words are calmed with words. Says Rashi, Ivruri me'avra b'mila. Noichel ratzos umaveres al midaiseha. So even though she does a strong woman, so you can speak to her and in a calm way. Heichidam ishara. What's a bad woman? Rabbi mikashtole taka. If she sets a meal for him, umikashtole puma, and then she uses her mouth, and Rashi says l'kalel, that she curses him. Rabba omer mikashtole taka, she prepares a meal, however umahadrule gaba, she turns his back to him. As Rashi says shloil echel imai, that she doesn't even want to eat with him. Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, kivan shenasa adam isha avoynaisav mispakikin. As soon as a person marries a woman, his sins are closed up. Shnemer matzah isha matzah taiv. That you find a woman, you find good. But yafig ratzim Hashem. But Marava in Israel, it's the famous Gemara in Brachos and Avches. Ki natzav inish is so when a person will get married. Amalei hechi matzah o motza. What type of woman did you find? Did you find a matzah dechsev matzah isha matzah taiv, that she's a good woman, or motzah dechsev umoitza nimar memavasas isha? Did you find a bitter woman? And obviously, again, the point is to be able to contrast the two, and obviously this person's going to want to believe that his wife is matzah isha matzah taiv. Amarava isha ra mitzvah garsha. If you have a woman who's bad, it's actually a mitzvah to divorce. So dechsev garish lates v'yetzi madain, to drive away the scoffer and to go away those in strife. V'yishbois din v'kalin. Yom isha ra ksubasa maruba. Let's say you have a bad woman, but you have a huge ksuba. Sarasa b'tzida. A co-wife is on the side. It says Rashi, Yisa cheres etzla. Just marry another woman. Diamri inshi b'chaverta v'lo b'tzilta. With her friend and not with a thorn. Says Rashi, Chaverta mekabelos tochechi yoser. She'll be more willing to accept rebuke than with a thorn. In other words, some interpret this as to say that when you marry another woman, and then your first wife will, because you have another relationship, she's not going to end up causing you as much strife because she understands that now there's another person in the picture. Miyoma Rava Kashi Ishara Kiyim Sagrir. That so bad is a bad woman, it's like Yoim of Sagrir. Rashi says Yoim Barad V'ruach. There's hail and there's winds. Shenemer Delef, a drip, Toyraid by Yoim Sagrir. Ve'eshes Midyanim Nish Tava. So we compare a woman to this storm. Yoma Rava Bayra Kama Taiva Isha Taiva. Come and see how important, great is a good woman. But Kama Ra Isha Ra, and how bad is a bad woman. Kama Taiva Isha Taiva Dakseh Matzah Isha Matzah Taiv. Ki begava mishtoi kra. And so begava mishtoi kra. The pasuk is talking about a woman kamatav isha taiva. Shahakosav mishabcha. That the Torah is praising this woman. Iba Torah. So there's a question. Maybe this pasuk is actually talking about Torah. Mishtoi kra. Then kamatayva isha taiva shatara nimshalaba. How great is Torah? So we see again, great is a woman, that the Torah is compared to a woman. Kama nimshalba, kama ra isha ra, dechsev u'mata nimar memavas asa isha. Ibegava mishtoi kra. It's talking about a woman. So kama ra isha ra, shakasav migana. It's talking negatively about. Ibegehena mishtoi kra. Kama ra isha ra shegehena nimshalaba. Again, even if it's not talking about a woman per se, the fact that it's comparing it Gehenim to her, so obviously you see again its seriousness. Then the pasuk says, "Hini mevi ra, I will bring forth bad, asher lo yuchel latzeis memenu, that you will not be able to come out from it." Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabbi Barabu, zu isha ra. This is a bad wife. Uksubasim aruba, but you have a huge ksuba, so it's unfortunately you don't have the ability just to divorce her because you don't have the money to pay it off. And it says in Eicha, Nisanani Hashem bidei, that Hashem has placed me in my hands. Uchal kum, I can't get up. Amar Chista, Amar Marukva, Barachia zu isha ra, Ksuvasa maruba, but Maraba Amru. In Israel they said, Zeh shemazonasav tulian bekasboi. This is someone whose money is totally on his mezainis, his sustenance is totally bekasboi, on his money. Says Rashi, she'en lo zriya bekarka, shekol sham meitzer v'dayig shema tiyakar tvua. He's always afraid that what happens if, let's say, the prices of my grain goes up, o yenalu shari shever, or let's say the store is closed. So because of that, you don't have your own sense of financial independence. Banecha v'nosecha nasunim l'am acher. Your children become to another nation. So Rabbi Chanan bar Rava Omer Rav zu eshes av. This is referring to your father's wife. Begoin naval achiseim, and then these nations will pounce upon them. Amar Rav Chanan bar Rava Omer Rav zu isha ra. Ksuba samaruba. Rabbi Lezer Omer elu hatzadukim. This is referring to the tzadukim. V'chein hu Omer Amar nava belibo ein elokim. V'gomer masnisa tana elu anshe barbaria. These are the barbarians, the barbarians. The anshi martanoi shemahalchim arumim bashuk. They walk naked in the market. Shenucha mashukats masoya with ne'amakam yosef mishmahalch bashuk arum. There's nothing more repulsive than a person who walks around in the marketplace naked. Rabbi Yochanan Amar elu chavorim. This is referring to the chavorim. Rashi is chavorai or parsim rishayim. These are the wicked Persians. The Persians have come to Bavel. Shaga nafal, and the boundaries have fallen. They have taken bribes. They took bribes. Toritz Yosef. They got up. Let's see if Rashi over here. So he said, you should know that they do take bribes, the kabel gezerasa, in order to remove the gezeras. Toritz Yosef, v'samach, or it says v'sameach. So on some level, the fact that he knew that he can just give them bribes, that actually is somewhat of a good thing. TB 19. So he says like this. Amru lo Rav Yochanan, asu chavroi lebavel, shaglu nafel, meroiv tsar. So my Amru lo achach v'chaz v'nicham. How did he make him feel better? So he said, Amru lo shemekablan shaychad. Don't worry, they take bribes. So therefore, it's not going to be such a terrible thing, because you know that as long as you have enough money, they're not going to cause you any harm. So this is about the chavroi lebavel. Okay, and this was actually a question. I got it really wrong. I didn't even know where this was. It's a one-liner. Parsim Rishayim, says Rashi, Mavazin, V'enim Akirin, Kavaidim Shal Yisrael, Shaga Katav Nafal Merev Tsar Shahayu B'nei Hayeshuvim Mitzurim B'Yadam. So again, they take Sheicha, and that was a form of Nachama, words of comfort, knowing that you can always just pay them off. Toretz Yosef. Gazur al Gimel, so they fasted on 3. So Rashi says, Amr Lahem Mipnei Shloisha Ver Shahayu B'Yad B'nei Bavel. Mipnei Gimel, Gazur al Basar, they made a decree on meat. Mipnei Hamatanais, because of the gifts. Also, Rashi, what does it mean they made a gezerah? Says Rashi, Amr Lahem Mipnei Shloisha Ver Shahayu B'Yad B'nei Bavel, Gazur al Basar Shlo Yochel Basar Shchuta, that you're not allowed to eat meat which was slaughtered. Because we used to steal the Zerah Chaim Nekeva, the mop on the jaw, from the Kohen. So because we didn't treat meat properly, so therefore we were punished that way. Gazul al Mer Chatzois, the Megazera on the bathhouses, Memnei Hatvila. Rashi says, Shalohaya Zehirinbo. We weren't so careful in going to the mikvah. And Ka Mechatate Shachve Memnei She Samechim biyom Edom, says Rashi. Moitziim hanikvarim mikivrehem. They removed the graves because we were happy on their day. Baal lehem zug hagzera was abelba. It was a time for us to mourn because we treated their holidays of their focusing on the idols. We were happy on those days, so therefore we became saddened by their actions. Shnemar v'haisa yad Hashem b'chem, that the hand of Hashem is upon them. So Rabbi Bar Shmuel zu chatute shachve. These are again the people that will exhume the graves. The sins of the living, mesim ischatetim. The dead have their remains removed. Rabbi Bar Mari, Siv, the pasuk says, Lo yasvu, they shall not be gathered. Lo yikavru, not to be buried. L'daimen, to the l'daimen al pnei adama, to the dung on the earth. You. Uksiv, and also where it says v'nivchar mavis mechayim, to choose death from life. So amalei nivchar mavis l'rishayim, that it should be chosen for the rishayim shlo yichu ba'olam haza. They don't really live in this world. V'yachadu v'yipul b'gehenim, as they're going to fall to Gehenim. Kosav b'sefer Ben Sira. It's written in the book of Ben Sira. It says, Isha taiva matana taiva. A good woman is like a good gift. L'bal, to her husband. Uksiv taiva b'chek yirei Elokim, tinasin isha tinasin. Isha rat saras l'bal. The tsaras is like leprosy to the house and to the husband. So my takante. So what's the takana when you have a bad wife? The garshena. The Torah does allow for gerusha, for divorce. The isrape mitzarato, and it's a way of being healed from your leprosy. Isha yafe, and when it comes to a good woman, ashri bala, praiseworthy is her husband, mispar yamav keflayim, that he can his days will be, so to speak, doubled. Says Rashi Klomer, samech b'chelkai. He is so happy with his lot. V'daimlo ki'ilu yamav keflayim. It's like his life has doubled because he now has another woman, a wife who's like him. It's almost like another life that he's given because she's a support to him. So it's like keflayim. Halem einecha, remove your eyes, me'eshes chen, pen tilached b'misudasa. Maybe you will fall into her trap. Al tate eitzel bala limsech imo yain v'shechar. That a husband should be cautious with wines and old wine, ki b'sayir isha yafa rabim hushchasu, because a isha yafa, a beautiful woman, can destroy. Vatsumim kol harageha, rabim hayu pitzei reichel, and there are many peddlers with wounds. Then the Gemara says like this: Hamaraglim l'daber erva, someone who's ragil to l'davar erva, to be engaged in erva. Kinitzaitz mavir gacheles. It's just like a spark of a coal. Kichluv mali oif, in a coop filled of birds. Kain batehim aleim mirma. So too their house will be filled with this disgustingness. Al teitzar tsaras machar. Do not worry about tomorrow's problems. Kilo teida ma yelad yaim. You don't know about today. Shema machar ba. Maybe tomorrow will come v'yedenu. It won't be around. Nimsa mistar al oilam shenu shalo. You're going to be worried about things that there's nothing to worry about. So the Gemara says, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't think about what's going to be tomorrow. Who knows what will be for tomorrow? Mana Rabbi metach beisecha. Hold back the many from your house. V'lo hakoil tavi beisecha. And not everyone come to your house. Rabbi mihu darshi shlomecha. Galei said le'echa me'elef. So Omer Rav Asi, ein ben David ba ad sheyichol kol anashama shebaguf. As we said in our previous daf, that there's a storage house called Guf, and all the neshamos that will come from that area, eventually when that happens, Mashiach will come. Shnemer ki ruach mulafanai ya'atayv neshamos ani asisi. Tanya Belezer Omer kol mi she'ein oisik b'preverivia, and who doesn't have children, ki ilu shayvech damim. It's considered almost akin to murder. This is question 14. Hashlim es hamamera. It's like murder, because since you're supposed to have children, by not having them, it's like you've not had that child. So it's almost like you killed them. Rav Yaakov you've taken away, minimized the demus, the image, the likeness of Hashem. Shnemar kibetzel melkim asos adam. It's like you did both. Shnemar v'yatem puravu. So Amrul ben Azai. So 1 second, they said to Ben Azai, who happened to not be married, Yeshna Darish v'nola mekayim. There's some people that learn and do. No mekayim v'nola Darish. Some people do, but they don't learn. Yata no Darish v'nola mekayim. You learn, but you don't do what you do. So why don't you have kids? It's hard to understand, especially, it's almost like, of all people, you Ben Azai are saying, you're the one that says this drasha? How could you be saying this drasha? You don't do it yourself. So Ben Azai Maya, so what should I do? My soul is attached to Torah. Maybe the Torah can be fulfilled, and these mitzvos, having children, other people can do it. But I have such a connection to Hashem and to Torah, and therefore I don't have. Again, it's like you murdered. Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah Oimer ki'ilu might hadamus. As we said, Ben Azai Omer v'chul again. Omer Ben Azai Yeshna Darish v'chul, etc. So it's similar language. Okay, we're going to stop there. We didn't see question 13. Elu devarim she'en ha'adam kuri adam b'chesroinan. So that was the very, very beginning of the daf, which was if a person doesn't have a wife or land, then he's not considered to be adam. TA 16. Yeah, so we saw this already. What did Rav Chia say? Almada havi mishkach midi havi maisil isisafal pi shahaisim et sarasai. So he said, it's enough what she does for me. She takes care of my children, and she's a wife with me, which I distance myself from sin because we have tashmish, etc. So that alone is enough, and therefore for that reason I give her gifts, and I'm not upset about anything else she does. Adkan.